Good evening, this is Dr. Do again. This video is outside of medicine, talking about the music, the folk songs in China start from 1930s to 1990s, because after 1990s and pretty much the style is close, not a big change. But during these 60 years, the music as a form of entertainment sometimes leads, sometimes follow, or sometimes both lead and follow. So and you can tell from the music to sense the political, social environment, what the strength or the main theme of the society. The folk songs is different from movies. Movie has some main themes, probably it's different, but still there also typical movies also represent the time, the decades. But for example, I'll give example in 1930s in a big city like Shanghai, it's like New York or Hong Kong. They're crowded, different level of societies, and also a lot of international people or ambassadors dwell there. So the typical songs like this. This was from a very popular song. I think the singer was also very famous, Zhou. I think Miss Zhou, Xuan Zhou. So here's the typical 1930s song. I'll try to mimic. 天涯有海角，迷呀迷之音，小妹妹丝线郎丝针，郎呀穿在一起不离分。This is a very typical 1930s song. It's soft and it's about emotions, girl and the boy, and the nature emotions. And in the music, very soft and has a local tone of the local culture. And for 1940s, since 1940s was a time of war, the international war, Second World War in the Pacific, and also the civil or domestic. So the music like this. 风在吼，马在叫，黄河在咆哮，黄河在咆哮，大刀枪向鬼子们的头上砍去。So this the typical 1940s music, because it's a war, so it's a very emphasize the strength to fight and equipped with take the sword and ride the horse to fight. So this is 1940s military songs like that. And into 1950s, because the new country started with new environment, new society. People had been suffered for so many years and in poverty, and now and also the war. So now suddenly it's a kind of peace. No more fight, no more wars. Everybody lives so happy with hope, actually. So the typical song of 1950s probably is like this. 社会主义好，社会主义好，社会主义国家人民地位高，反动派被打倒，帝国主义价值为我逃跑了，社会主义社会 something like this. It's just to sing, to praise the new country with a lot of hope, with a lot of energy, ready to build, to establish a better country. So this 1950s, this is a very typical 1950s song. And then after the 1950s, 1960s was such a very strange decade. At the beginning of 1960s, there's some nature famine along the Huanghe, the Yellow River, called Huanghe in Chinese, but Yellow River, it's a lot of disasters or famines in the whole country. And later of 1960s, middle of late 1960s, the Cultural Revolution. So this is the chaotic decades. People start after the 10 years of trying to build with the full energy, then turn out still not get out of the poverty, or still there's since the country is still young, I think, still trying to find a best way to build. And then especially 1960s, there's during the Cultural Revolution, young people from high school students take the trains freely to the Beijing, to Tiananmen Square, to visit Mao, to worship him and to praise him, to want to see him, very excited and tears. And also, so these are the typical songs in 1960. 我爱北京天安门，天安门上太阳升，伟大领袖毛主席指引我们向前进。Or 你们好像8、9点钟太阳，希望寄托在你们的身上。These are all the songs about the youth, the young, the high school student, or the youth, the young people. They love the Tiananmen Square, they love Mao, and also the vigorous, like the youth, like Morning Sun, and the hope of the country. So this is for 1970s. It's after the first 4 years of Cultural Revolution. Even though people are still living in poverty, but they settled. The heart was kind of not thrilling anymore, just peace and settled, even though not rich, but still get used to it and kind of steady. So at this time, there are a lot of some movies. In the movies, the main theme or modern Beijing opera, those kind of form of entertainment start to produce. But in the folk song, because Mao had traveled a lot since from 70s probably, and this is probably a typical of 1970s song like this. 毛主席走遍祖国大地，锦绣河山更加壮丽，更加壮丽。任凭征途风云变幻，鲜红的太阳永放光芒。This is a typical 1970s song. You can hear it overhead on the street everywhere. So this is singing about Mao traveled the country to look, be with people, and like the morning sun with great hope, and it's going to get brighter and better. So still to people, even though not rich, but still not giving up hope with this kind of music to raise up this, the strength and keep encouraged to, and then until 1980s, the music, the folk music started to change back to a lot of different forms, start to produce. Like this is probably one of them. 林中的小路有多长，只有我们漫步度量。喜鹊悄悄站在树上，把我们静静地观望。So this kind of music, soft and a real emotion of human, talk about two people, lover and walking at evening, and the moon and the bird and the forest. So this is the start, the totally different style from the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So this is similar to 1930s, start to show the human nature and emotions. So this is the 1980s. For 1990s, there are a lot of international player or singer, musician, and also swamped the new creations and new production of music. And since 1990s, it kept going like this. Folk music has a very, very strong influence to the society. So 1990 probably like this from international singer, I think. 渡你千遍也不 的感觉像3月，浪漫的季节，醉人的诗篇。哦。Something like this. It's just continuously to going on to streaming until today. So this is the music about the video about the folk music and the society, the political environment. I think music as a form of entertainment is lead or follow the society, the political and the country. So I'm not a musician, but this is just from what I know. I grew up actually I grew up in this kind of along those musics. But thank you for watching. I will see you next time.